Welcome back, and we are live here at Heavy Muscle Radio, and I am Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto. Chris, big weekend in Chicago, the Chicago Pro. Hunter Labrada dominates, wins this event, knocks out some heavy hitters we're going to talk about in a minute. Keone Pearson winning the 212 division, of course. And we'll talk about that as well. Chris, were you impressed with the Chicago lineup?
Yeah, I was very impressed with the lineup. 212 was spectacular. Open was pretty spectacular. Two impressive classes.
Is it true that you're at Donald Trump's? Are you at Donald Trump's office right now?
No, I'm in almost. I see, Dave, you see where that bullseye is?
Yeah.
I'm reading on the sign. It says Chris Aceto is coming to the office at 12 p.m. to borrow the office and use the Wi-Fi. There's 15 employees here. Nobody knows the Wi-Fi password. I said, I got to do this bodybuilding show. It's at a real estate office. And people are like, Chris is going to do the bodybuilding show. What's the Wi-Fi password? Is it try to, everyone's tried everything. Nobody can get me on. So finally the secretary said, just use my computer.
Oh, that was.
And I'm like, good, get out.
Yeah, that was nice of her. Yeah. We need an hour of
Chicago Pro. It's more important than real estate.
What Chris didn't want to really admit, this is his. It's like going to a psychologist every week. This is like our psychology session. We have to de-stress and kind of just focus on breathing and talk bodybuilding.
There's 7 kids between the two of us, and at 100, if you combine our ages, it's like 105. It's ridiculous. Yeah. 3 of them are, let's see. 5 of them are under 7.
Yeah.
So the amount of stress we're under on a daily basis with big family. I mean, they're big families this day and age.
Yeah. Logan's doing fighting now. We got him in fighting class.
Oh, he'll never stop.
Well, we had brought him in when he was 3. He couldn't focus. So we brought him the other day to this new place, and the guy who runs it is a Troy Alves lookalike, and he sounds like got that very deep voice like Troy. He was military for like 30 years, law enforcement. He says to Logan, "You answer me, yes, sir." I loved it. Right as soon as he sold me, as soon as he said that to my son,
take him, yeah. Give him. See, what Dave wants to do is you want to get him into like karate, some discipline, so that he's like manageable.
Well, no, but they told me was you can't do. There's no karate or martial arts for kids for boys 5 years old. They can't focus. They throw them right into Brazilian jiu-jitsu and hand fighting, boxing type stuff because they can't focus that long. He said, and so my son's the youngest one. He's up there. There was a couple 7-8-year-old kids, probably 9-year-old kids in his class, and they're doing. My son never did anything. He hasn't done anything. They just wanted to expose him to see if he liked it, right? So they got him grappling on the floor with this kid. The other kids got the headgear, all the equipment on, everything, every little accoutrement you could possibly put on. And my son's got like a T-shirt on, from the street, and they're like, "All right, go wrestle." And I'm like, he doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. And it's like, and Logan's very strong and aggressive, and he's fighting this kid, and of course the kid is pulling these moves on him, and he doesn't like to lose. He's very competitive and everything like that. So my wife and I are filming, and we're laughing our asses off because he did good. He did very well. And then they have a striking class. In the second class, it's 2 hours. The second class they strike, and he was really into it. I was completely shocked by the fact that he actually liked it. So he's going back tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, he's going to bring all those tactics home, and he's going to enforce them on the other kids.
Well, that's what he told him. Jeff, the guy who's the Troy Alves guy, I call Troy Alves now. He said, "You don't use this on your sisters. You don't use this at home. I'm going to get a report from your parents, and if you're using it, there's going to be penalties to be paid when you come in here for the class." So I said, "Good luck in trying to enforce that on him." I said, "Hopefully you'll be much more you'll be more successful than I have been."
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's speaking of sons and fathers. I have to imagine that Leah Labrada is gleaming now that Hunter Labrada is a verifiable, Olympia contender, right? I mean, this second win was monumental for him.
Well, he's won 2 pro shows now.
Yeah, but I'm saying this is a big one.
Yeah, big win.
When you take out Roelly Winklaar, I think that adds definitely something extra to your resume, don't you think?
Well, it does, but it was a small R, small W Roelly Winklaar.
Yeah.
In other words, wasn't the full blown Roelly Winklaar. He looked good actually, but just not the crazy wacky super roundness that we used to.
No, we'll talk about that in a minute.
But he was in shape.
Look, just look at Hunter's. I look at Lee's face here in this. Doesn't that say it all?
Yeah. Well, Lee was wearing lifts there too, because he only comes up to the middle.
That's what I keep asking him. I said, "How the heck did you get a son so freaking tall?"
Yeah, I don't know, huh? How did? Well, because
Pretty
his wife's
crazy, right?
tall.
They're like clones of each other too.
Yeah, the mother's tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are clones of each other. They have the same cadence and the way they speak. I guess you would, right? If you're living with your father.
Do your kids look? I mean, your kids do look a little like you, and I'm sure mine do. Certain, but his looks exactly like him. That's the crazy thing, you know.
His look exactly, and his are, you know, going on to bigger and better things than actually Lee did.
Yeah, even his genetics of his physique is the same, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And Lee still looks great. I'm every time I see Lee, I'm like jealous. I'm like, man, that guy looks really good, doesn't he?
Yeah. He never looks fatigued or stressed or.
No. And I'm sure he has a lot of stress too, because he's a hard worker.
He's leaner than your boy Sean. He competed with him.
You know, Chicago. We knew that Chicago was going to be good because there's a lot of guys that are looking to qualify, Chris, for the Olympia, obviously. And you know, let's face it. You know, there's not that many shows left at this point. Everyone's talking about the Arnold. The Arnold is giving one qualification spot. I would hardly say that that's that's an opportunity right there. You know, it's an opportunity for one person. Really, is what it amounts to. Let's talk about Hunter. Number one, what won the show for Hunter in your mind?
I think what wins for Hunter, it's a great question, is he's the summation of, sounds like a criticism, but it's a summation of averages. Like he's got everything that, hold that picture, Dave.
Yeah.
He's got everything it takes to win a pro show, which means like he's got the big hamstring from the side. You know, he's got the glute ham tie-in from the side. That's prerequisite for winning. You know, he's got big shoulders on the side chest, fairly big pecs. Nothing is dominating on him. That's a big, attribute that you need to win shows, which means you're balanced, and balance is super important. His condition is really good, and he's got width. So, the only thing you can criticize a Hunter Labrada on is he needs more. I mean, this Hunter Labrada and what you're going to see in 4 years is not going to be the same person.
No.
He needs muscle maturity. So, like, see this picture there? Yeah. Back double. You probably can't get it, quote, tighter, drier, leaner. The only way it can look better, which it looks very good,
bigger, is
with more muscle density and more size, or more maturity, which is the the weird word that's thrown around that some people don't know what it is, but you know it when you see it, where it's just like a denser looking appearance, because everything really is there.
Yeah, he's got the balanced physique too, very well balanced. I think.
Yeah, very well balanced.
And that's what I mean. That's what allows him to exploit some of these other guys, don't you think?
Absolutely.
The fact that he's so balanced, and he's a good poser too.
Yeah, no. If you have balance, you can hang with people on poses that you may think you're weak on. You can hang with people, and then there's going to be some poses where you can beat people just because they're going to have deficiencies. So when you have balance, it's like you're automatically, especially when you come in good condition like this, you're automatically going to be in the running to win the show. Yeah,
I agree. Let's talk about, how does Hunter Labrada, you think, do at the Olympia? Having said what you just said about muscle maturity and that he still has some, growing and improving to do, how do you think this physique will match up on an Olympia stage this year?
I'd have to really think through who's there, because I don't think it's a big lineup, but I still think he's like the top end of the second call out. You know what I mean? Like this, they're going to call 5. I think like Akeem Williams, who just won a show, gives him a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Because you're going up against somebody who's been training longer than you, someone who's denser and thicker than you. You have your own strengths, as well. Hunter does, but I think like the Bone Axe, Akeem. I would have said Roelly previous to seeing Roelly recently. Yeah. Of course, Randy and even there's people with more size and more muscle maturity in the show.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that people, they see Hunter in this situation and beating Roelly, but he really beat a bad Roelly,
Yeah.
We'll talk about him in a minute. Let's give I want to give some love to some of the guys who did beat Roelly and finished high up there. Probably the guy, I think the surprise of the show for me was Brett Wilkin. And I know maybe not for a lot of other people, but I don't think that he was on the radar, but he wasn't in the radar, I think, at placing as high as he did. I mean, because let's face it, if Hunter wasn't there, he would have won the show. What do you like about his physique and what don't you like about his physique?
There's nothing I don't like about his physique, which automatically puts him in second.
Yeah.
There's nothing I don't like about his physique. What that lat spread, front lat spread is off the hook. The pecs, they roll. It's leg separation, striated pecs. Probably the biggest transformation in 3 or 4 years from being a classic bodybuilder to moving up to 212 to moving up and open. You're like talking about like Dexter type jumps.
Look at that. That's like the Cutler side tricep, right?
Yeah, it's got like the crazy deep abs. The pecs are full.
Yeah.
Tan is perfect.
Very well polished. Yeah, I agree.
Very polished. Very polished. Amazing transformation from being a classic guy.
How much weight do you think he gained in the last 2 years? I got to interview him and see. It's a lot.
A shocking amount. But just the idea that, I'm a classic guy, I think I'll do 212. It's like, okay, 3 hat in. Okay, I'm 212. I think I'm going to move up to open. Then you just start saying, this guy's nuts. Like, meaning he's going to get smoked. That's what anyone else, right? If someone said, oh, I just did a classic, I got a classic pro crowd, I'm going to give 212 a shot.
Right. Look at the glutes and hams. I mean, everything's there. What I noticed, a lot of these guys that move up or who are just young still guys, the back, a lot of times the back takes a little longer to catch up. Yeah. He's got the good in middle back, though, which a lot of guys don't have. I think Hunter needs a little bit more inner back, but I think Brett just needs a little more width, probably.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some more rhomboids there, too. That's nitpicking. Yeah. It's a great shot.
John Romano joining us. Did your bike started up again?
Yep. Evidently, I'm here.
He pulled the Jimmy the Bull. He got stuck on the side of the road.
Yep.
Now, when the bike turns off because it's too hot, like, does it just stop working? What happens?
No, what happened was I was at a light at a huge intersection, and I was stopped on top of the painted arrow that goes to the left.
Yeah.
And painted stuff on the street is like 1,000 times slipperier than ice.
Oh.
Okay. So, especially when it's wet. So, light turned green and I started going, and my wheels start spinning. I'm like doing like a burnout in place. I didn't realize I was stopped on the on the paint. And when the wheel caught, it stalled. So I tried starting it again, and it wouldn't start because it was so fucking hot.
Right.
That I had to let it sit and cool off.
No. Was that like the $100,000 bike you were riding, or which one was that one?
That was the $20,000 bike.
Close enough. It's close enough.
Close enough.
Oh my God.
So what are we doing? Talking about bodybuilding?
We're talking Chicago Pro here. And
Hunter Labrada looked good, I thought.
Yeah, we were just talking about him, how great he is. But we're talking Brett Wilkin here, and who's made a tremendous transformation, from classic up to like the open. And we were just saying how it's funny how what I wanted to bring up, the point was Chris, why can some guys make that jump? You see these guys go from like men's physique to open bodybuilding, and then you got guys who are trying to go from like gain 5 pounds of muscle in 1 year and they can't do it.
I already thought it through.
What?
Because when he's doing classic, he's just a beginner, not made for classic, and he just got that's what happens with people is like, I mean, they're genetically open bodybuilders, but they just find their way into the gym. They compete in classic, they do pretty good, and then they say, hey, I'm going to get bigger, and they do get bigger because ultimately they have the genetics to put on a ton of muscle, whereas someone else in the he just bypassed the whole. He did 212,
right?
And there's people in the 212 desiring to gain 4 more pounds this year, And he said, I was in classic, now I'm 212, now I'm going to do open and almost win a show. So clearly, the genetics are there, and he's in originally the wrong category. If there was no classic, right, and there was no 212, he would just be a regular bodybuilder in the gym, training, aspiring one day to get his pro card in the open.
Right. No, look at the guy like Sean Clarita, the gains he's made. People probably laughed at him when he was saying, I'm going to do, I'm going to be a body, a guy winning the Olympia one day.
He may do open. Who knows? Maybe he'll.
He's pretty short though, but he probably could do well at shows because of his conditioning, right?
Of course.
David Henry did it for years.
Yeah, David Henry did it. And, he placed well, and he probably should have placed more well than he actually placed a lot of times.
Yeah.
More well.
It's
one of those days, John. I had to redo.
I've had 10 of them in a row, Chris.
Is there even anything like a special, like, how like when I was a kid, my father was an English teacher, was always correcting me with all this slang and urban talk out there. I don't even think there's any rules anymore to speak.
There's no more grammar rules.
I make up words all the time. I just part of. Dave,
my kids were homeschooled, and when they got to school, they were doing cursive writing, and kids were like, "What is that?" Right? That's a true story. They learned cursive writing at home, and then when they went into the public school, they would write their names or whatever, and write stuff in cursive writing, and kids would be like, "What is that?"
I blame Snoop Dogg for it all because he made up his own language, and everyone adopted it basically. Anyway, all right, let's take a look at Maxx Charles in third place. I thought this was the best Maxx Charles I'd seen because it was a good compromise between fullness, conditioning, because he has the trouble sometimes nailing that right. What do you think, Chris? You've worked with him.
I'm shaking my head, Dave, because it's, what? There's no way he could have been better for his physique for this show, because when he drags it down, and he can get extra peeled, and he gives up the wackiness. And this is not a good picture. I think the lighting is bad, or because he's freakier than this. But you're right. For him, it's the right combo of trying to lean down as far as I can and keep my power, my strengths, my freakiness. And I think, had he, where he gets beat up a little bit here is the detail in the back, but it was enough. He was really good. And some people, not many, but some, people said, Maxx could have won. And when I looked at pictures, I'm like, you could kind of sort of make an argument that front double, he's crazy. Front lat spread, he's crazy. Most muscular, he's crazy. This 3 shots, he's deadly. And side chest, he's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's when he gets to the back, but he's brought his legs up, I think. And the legs look thick from behind on the back double. I think I don't think he could have come in really.
Much better.
You can't have any regrets like, oh, you know what? I should have just tried to come in full, or I should have tried to drag it down and come in 3 pounds lighter or a little drier. I think all of those you still would have not placed higher than he placed.
Right. I think that he's good from the back, but I think that's where Brett and Hunter beat him from behind. Not the upper part, not the upper back, but the lower body.
Yeah.
Because he has a better back double upper body than both of those guys.
Yeah, it looks a little watery here, but that's pictures in real life. He always has a good back. He's got a good back width too in the lineup and back lat spread. And
the funny thing is his legs don't look that small from
that's what I mean.
The bottom from behind.
They got bigger from behind.
Yeah.
But you know what?
His glutes are not hard, yeah.
You're judging the show and you go like, okay, Hunter glutes hams, Brett glutes hams, odd guy out. In terms of super detail, there is going to be Maxx, and that's probably why he lands in third.
I agree with you 100%. John, any insight on that?
I see watery glutes, watery low back, watery inner thighs. I don't know. We're like Chris said, we're picking nits here. So, me, I'm just wishing one of these guys would turn their head one side to the other when they're doing a back double.
You know what I pose in the mirror in the morning, John, just to make sure I still got it. I always make sure I turn my head.
Thank you. Nothing like a trap with the head turned.
I know. The guy I'm one of the most impressed with is Mo Shabani here. Chris, talk to me a little bit about him.
He has thickness, balance, good conditioning. I got feedback. Now. But he's got very few weaknesses, and he's thick, and he's really good. And I think he's got a tremendous future too, because he's arguably thicker than Hunter and Brett.
Yeah.
Does he have short arms?
He looks like he does. Yeah.
Looks like someone's pushing his elbows in.
No, you're right. He has short arms. He does. Look at the back shot. I'll show you. You even see the shorter arms too. It's weird how people have different proportion, but yeah, his arms are a little short because he's got long legs. It seems like. And
exactly. He does.
And he's conditioned from behind, but I think he doesn't have Labrada and Brett Wilkin conditioning, and I think that's why he has to settle for fourth place here.
Yeah,
he's got a whole film of water.
He's had different shows where he's radically conditioned, but sometimes you get radically conditioned and you don't have that size too. I mean, he's probably looking for the perfect combo because he's probably not placing where.
Do you think I think he looks like he filled out more. He's definitely, you hear the term fuller. He's definitely fuller here, but I don't know if he's better.
Yeah.
Fuller,
he's watery.
Yeah. He's got a little film on him. I think that's the problem. But you know what? You hear these judges will tell you come in fuller. And a lot of times.
They will tell you that.
And a lot of times it doesn't work for these guys. Sometimes you just got to come in the same.
Because Dave, let me take that. What they mean is they do tell you that, and they don't know. They have good intentions, but it means nothing because it's like you come in super peeled and they say come in fuller. What they don't say is, but with the same condition. They don't
even know what they're talking about. They don't even remember you. They go like, what should I do for next time? Well, come in bigger and fuller. Yeah, duh. I mean, it's like they have the same answer for everybody. There's no one says, well, go get your gyno fixed, or maybe you want to practice posing a little more. They never say that. They say, well, come in fuller, come in harder.
Well, if you come in fuller and harder, I guess you move up.
Yeah.
Now here's a riddle for you guys to solve.
All right.
I'm pulling pictures off of npcnewsonline.com, and obviously thank you guys for the great photography and everything like that. And when I did a wrap up on Saturday night of the show, or Sunday, I think it was Saturday night, and I was pulling pictures off of there, and I went there, and I'm looking, and I'm like, wait a second, there's no fifth place here. Roelly has been erased from the show. It's not even like they didn't move Hassan Mostafa up to fifth place. They just eliminated his name. It's just not in the database anymore.
Why?
I don't know. Now, luckily, we have one picture for at least on our Instagram. Hold on, I'm going to pull up from the stage, but I don't know where his pictures went. But certainly, this was not a great Roelly Winklaar that we saw on stage.
Yeah, what the hell? What's going on with him?
I don't. Chris, I gave my my insight. What do you think went wrong?
I don't think anything went wrong. I think this is what happened. He hurt his. When was the last? Roelly hurt his knee, right? When is the last time Roelly competed? And I'll tell you what. Let me try.
Last year.
Where?
I don't know. It's a good question. Was he at the Arnold?
No, he didn't do the Arnold.
No,
he didn't do the Olympia.
He took the whole year off, I guess, then.
Yeah, so he had, I think, if my memory is correct, he had a knee injury. And, I'm assuming he took time off. And usually when big, wacky guys take time off, it's hard to get that crazy density back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you go through the motions, you eat the 6 meals or whatever it is, and, you go to the gym and, you look good because he did look good. But the crazy roundness, doesn't make its way back a lot of times, especially when he's over 35. I don't know how old he is. He might be over 40.
Right.
That's interesting, Chris, because you would think it would be the opposite. You would think with the year off, your body gets a rest, you get to recuperate, and then you come back better than ever. It's interesting that it's not the opposite.
Well, I mean, just look at Ronnie had a break, after he lost the Olympia, a few months off, and then tried to get big and come down. It didn't work. Jay had a whole entire year and a half off before he tried to come back. 2 2013, the roundness on those mass monsters doesn't seem to come back, because if you look at Roelly's physique, I mean, they tried to push him into first place. You know, they had him in the middle. He had like leg detail, he had glutes, he had hamstrings, he had good roundness, but just when you take a good look, it's like, God, this is not the crazy freak that we know.
So you don't think he over dieted, is what you're saying?
No, I don't think so. It's a great question. I don't think he over dieted. I think that he just didn't put the mass back on. So when he dieted, there was something underneath there.
But now, do you think are you think that's a comparison, Roelly to great Roelly, or Roelly to whoever else was on the stage?
No, I mean, I'm comparing Roelly to himself.
Okay.
You know, he didn't, you know, let's face it, if he was big Roelly, he's not twice as big as Hunter and Brett, but those guys would not stand next to him on side, chest, and most muscular, you know, in terms of just density, size, freakiness.
Yep.
I mean, he could have come into the show with his old mass, if he had his old mass, quote, off, and he'd be battling for first for sure, 100%.
You think he's done?
I don't know. There's no tears and stuff there, you know what I mean? And everything is there. It's not like he has weak body parts, but just he's not that super freak that I mean, everyone expects him to steamroll the show, right? They just expect, because in our people's minds where it's, okay, this is what Roelly looks like. You know, and you think like front double where he's just, you know, Roelly's the guy at the Olympia who, although might not be in the best condition, gets the biggest crowd response because it's laughable at the cartoon size.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have the cartoon size. He just had like normal size. You know, he had good size, but nothing wacky. But, you know, who knows? I mean, I thought he was very lean. So
do you think the judges are comparing Roelly to great Roelly, or Roelly to everybody else on stage?
I think both. I think they're comparing him to like, okay, this is not the Roelly that we've seen, and then now that we've seen which Roelly is here, we got to compare him to the guys on the stage.
Right.
And
you think he was better than anybody that beat him?
Was he better than anyone that beat him?
Yeah. To compensate for them comparing Roelly to great Roelly.
What place did he get? Fifth, Dave?
Yeah, fifth.
Yeah, he didn't get about. I guess that's about where he probably deserved to be. It's got to be frustrating for him. You know, he's a veteran. He's beaten a great Dexter. I mean, he's beaten everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, he's beaten a lot of people, and he's been beating people for a long time. So, you know, I don't know what's next for him if he's not qualified for the Olympia. He's doing the Arnold, so he's got time to, you know, do something between now and the Arnold.
True.
The question is, though, can Roelly? I still think he over dieted. To me, he looked over dehydrated and over dieted. I don't. You really think it's a loss of muscle?
I think he didn't get the muscle back. He's never over dieted in his career. Why would he over diet now?
Good point.
Well,
no, he has. You remember when some of those grandma years he had?
Yeah. But those are like over diuretic or something.
Yeah, he would come in one show huge, and then he'd be in the next show he'd be tiny.
Yes.
Yeah. Although tiny is not.
Yeah, but he was fresher and he was younger. So I mean, I don't know, Dave. Maybe he did. Maybe you can call him up and ask him, "Did you over diet?" Let me text him later. Holy, did you over diet? He already responded. He said, "No, I was."
Yeah, I don't know.
It's great to get an instant response.
Yeah. I can only get that from everyone.
I know, right?
You know, it's funny, but someone is saying I'm a snake that his pictures have not disappeared for NPC News. Go to the NPC News Chicago Pro, guys. Look, it's not there. I took a screen capture of it.
Refresh your browser.
Yeah, refresh. Maybe I should refresh my browser.
That's what I mean.
No, his picture was there yesterday. It's just not there. It's fifth place is missing. It's just missing. I don't know where it is.
The number 5 too. Everything.
Yes. People think everyone thinks I'm this like terrible person, like that. I'm like a lot. What do I care if it's missing or not? You know. For what possible reason does it matter to me?
Exactly.
Right. Unbelievable.
Well, this is the sad because Roelly's one of my favorite bodybuilders of all time. So I hope he pulls it together at some point. Are you going to work with him, Chris?
No,
Why not?
I'm no. I have my own struggles, dude. We haven't got to my guy yet.
He clearly needs you.
Yeah.
Or Dave.
Let's
somebody here.
let's talk Hassan Mostafa for a minute, because this guy, which is Chris's guy, is the biggest guy for sure. There's no guy with more muscle per square inch than Hassan. And yet we still have yet to see him, pull it all together. Give me your assessment, Chris.
No glutes and average hams. Most of the shots, he's got so much muscle, stuff just rolls and explodes. At least at this show. I mean, he was just freaking massive and full. And, until he's got glutes and hams, this is where he places.
Why is it so hard to get? I mean, because you've worked with the best of the best. Mr. Olympia.
And the worst of the worst, too. I mean,
yeah. What is going on with his physique that is making it so difficult to get him into the shape that he needs to get into?
I've said it before, at the end of the day, Dave, the slowest metabolism, that just a remarkably challenging metabolism to work with, meaning slow.
Is he one of those guys that can go for days without food?
Oh, please, don't even. Yeah.
And what people don't realize is the longer you diet him, it gets worse, right?
Yes. And don't what I want to put out there is don't think that he cheats on his diet or.
No, I got a guy like that.
Or is lazy or. That's
some guys just don't respond. I got a guy like that too, man. I got him on almost no food, and the guy won't lose any weight.
It's crazy, right?
What do I do next? Give him 80 hamburgers? I mean, I'm stumped. I don't know what to do with this guy.
80 hamburgers.
Well, that's what. Listen, Luke Sandow had a conditioning issue,
right?
And then I started working with him, and I said, what, we're not going to do cardio. We're not going to eat diet foods. We're not going to diet. I think it's just the opposite. I just think, you've gone down dieting route and it's never worked. It's always left you either flat or soft or soggy or, so we did that.
Look at that. You see a fifth place there?
No, 5 is missing.
Holy,
why make the shit up?
There's Roelly right there at the top, Dave.
Oh, it is. Oh, look at that. He missed it.
Why did they do that?
Why did they do that?
The veteran.
See, that tells you how absent-minded I am.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. They probably just formatting got probably screwed up. No. All right.
So what do you do, Chris, Dave, with a guy like that who just won't lose weight or won't get lean?
You feed him more. I don't know. But what the problem is? I think he's done so many shows that I think he's a little burnt out. I know he wants to keep going because he's got that mindset. I'm young. I could keep dieting. I haven't gotten my best shape yet. But it's when your body shuts down, what happens. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, there's nothing you can. I'm absolutely astounded at some people. I got this one guy, man. I got him on he's intermittent fasting at this point. One meal in 24 hours, and the guy's won't change.
That'll even shut him down even more.
Now I'm going the other way. I'm going to give him 4 pizzas tomorrow. Yeah. I don't know what to do. I mean,
yeah.
You got to start.
Dave, I sent you, Dave, the picture of him standing next to Roelly. He looked honestly 5 times bigger than him.
God.
Well, I'm gonna now that I can find the pictures, I'm gonna pull up the Roelly Winklaar picture because you can see, and you know what, Chris, I'll give you credit. You're right in the sense that he is Roelly's in shape here. That's why I just think maybe over diuretic or just did too much of something because he is in shape. He just looks really small. That's not a good
picture. He looks like a classic physique guy. Where'd all his muscle go?
I mean, he's got big legs normally. His legs just don't look
tiny.
Big. You know what the problem is too? He doesn't have a small waist, but when he's monstrously big, it looks kind of like tapered.
Yeah.
Taper on the front point.
It's like Jay. Jay didn't really have a small waist, but his width was so great that it gave him a V taper. And when Roelly shrinks down a little bit, you kind of see like his flaws a little bit more, I think.
That's not a great shot, though.
No. Well, that's why I pulled it up. I wanted to, I mean, it is a shot. I mean, it's a shot from the show, but I think this is what the judges started to see, and they started seeing, they always look. It's impossible not to be judged against your best self, right? And isn't that what everyone judges you against?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if Roelly looked like an insane monster at one point, and then he comes in looking like this, it's just like it's a letdown, I think, for not just the fans but the judges too. And I think
that's why when Michael Jackson came out with Bad, everyone said it was terrible, even because he had the Thriller album.
Yeah,
they judged him against his previous best.
Yeah, right. Good point.
Right. It was still a great album. Hey, before we go on with the cut scrimmage, did you hear? I don't know if you know this guy, but there's a guy there was a bodybuilder actor by the name of Mike Mitchell.
I know.
He died. Let me see if I can pull this thing up here. Hold on. He was in Braveheart. Remember this guy?
No.
Yeah.
He was in Braveheart and Gladiator. Yeah, he died.
Of what?
I'm trying to find out. 65. Probably, who knows? They'll probably blame it on COVID. I'm sure that's what they'll write in the report, right?
Or steroids.
Died of a heart attack, they said.
COVID-induced or steroid-induced? One of the.
Well, don't they mark everything down pretty much steroids,
Either steroids or COVID,
Yeah, now that COVID is around, COVID might actually be a better diagnosis. They're going to stop saying people died of steroids now. They'll just chalk it up.
My favorite COVID death is the guy on the motorcycle that crashed in Florida. They delivered him to the hospital in 3 pieces.
Yeah, and they said he died of COVID.
They tested the pieces, and it came back positive for COVID, and that's what they listed as cause of death.
This guy was in Britain's Strongest Man competition. He won 5 Masters World titles, 2 Mr. Universe titles. He's been sailing yachts. I definitely remember this guy.
Yeah, I totally remember him from Braveheart.
He was a good actor too. I didn't even know he was a bodybuilder, to be honest with you.
Me neither.
65.
65
sounded old about 20 years ago.
Huh?
65 sounded old 20 years ago. Now that John's in his 60s already, and that Chris and I are creeping up on that, it doesn't sound so old anymore.
No, my brother reminds me that it's old.
He's a kid.
Isn't that crazy? It's all perspective, I always say, right?
Yep. Perception. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, unless you go up like 5 flights of stairs, then it's no longer perception. It's
Chris,
reality.
Yeah. Chris, Nick Walker versus Hunter Labrada. We saw them both this year. Who do you think wins that battle?
I would say I think I have to see them together. Nick has a little more power to his physique and it's more density, but not a but. I don't think Hunter has the greatest flow, but there's a lot of flow there that doesn't show up in pictures. Like, he looks better in real life than pictures. So I think it's a great battle that will actually play out in real time, at the Olympia, and I think it'll be a great battle. I think Nick can get harder because he's like a little bit more. He's thicker in the back. That's a big attribute. Probably in the shoulders and arms. So most, there's certain shots like the back double and most muscular because of the shoulders and arms. He might be able to take out Hunter on.
I think it's a valid battle for sure.
Yeah, it's a good battle. They're both they're both young.
You know how there's certain physiques that just look better and do better like at shows during the year, and then they go to the Olympia and they're not as good.
Yes.
Who's a better Olympia physique? Is it Nick because of his thickness, or is it because of his flow?
That's an even better question. I would have immediately said Hunter because he's his father's been at the Olympia. He's already been there once. Nick has not been there. His father's been there 10 times or whatever. So in terms of like nerves, knowing what to expect, how to prepare mentally for it, maybe that gives him a little bit of an edge. But Nick Walker is a guy, right? first pro show ends up 5th, and you think like, okay, he's good, but he's not great. And here it is a year later, and you change your tune, you say he's great. So I mean, how much improvements can he make from? He might be able to make a big jump between 6 weeks ago when he was last on stage, or whatever it was, 2 months ago, and the Olympia.
Right. I think it's a fun matchup.
Yeah, there's a lot of good matchups. That's a great one, Dave.
Yeah. We're going to see it.
Yeah, I think we will. I mean, I know we will, but
matter of when.
That's what I like is that the sport has got a lot of young talent now coming up that is going to take us into the next 5 to 10 years, and I'm glad that the new guard is kind of moving in, aren't you? It's kind of adding a level of excitement. I'd like to see Sergio standing next to these guys on stage.
Well,
how does he stack next to these guys?
You know what? It's funny. If the old Roelly showed up and won, it would have shut the idea of like new talent.
That's so true.
No, it would have. And we would have all been talking about, the Olympia, you get the established guys, and these guys, young guys can't, blah, blah, blah. But, here's Roelly 5th. So, it automatically, mentally, I mean, the expectation for the young guys is that they can be there. They can be in the running, the tail end of the first call or the very beginning of the second call, or some of the first guys, them added in, versus if Roelly had just smoked the show, and, has been his normal whatever, he's probably, I bet he's 20 pounds lighter here.
Yeah.
15.
It looks like it, yeah.
If we'd seen the old Roelly, we'd be saying, well, the old guard, and, you got Roelly and Ramy, but we're not talking about that now.
No, but this is we always see this. Remember when Phil Heath made that jump from the guy who we're talking about as a future contender to the actual contender? And I think we're almost at that point where these new guys are just looking to break into that top 6 now. And I think that this might be the year that we see a lot of it.
Yeah.
I like the international contingent too that we have now that, was lacking in years past. There's a lot of guys now from other countries. We have Oxygen Gym, which is a tremendous influence now. It adds another whole level of excitement to the whole thing. There
is a lot of new guys coming out. I mean, that I think and whether they're gonna take the next 1 or 2 or 3 more years, but at least it's new things to talk about now, as opposed to the same old things that we were talking about. Yeah. Let's take a look at the 212 class. I was very impressed with the 212 class. Yeah. I mean, these guys were just spectacular. And let me see if I have pictures.
They always are.
Yeah, they always are.
I like it better than the Open.
Yeah. There's the top 3. Obviously, Keone Pearson, who won on the right. Kerrith Bajjo, the guy I helped in the middle. And Moshaban there as well. And excuse me, Ahmed El-Dasani. Sorry, I'm confusing classes.
Getting everyone mixed up.
Yeah. Ahmed El-Dasani, who plays second here. I think this is almost like an Olympia top 3, don't you think?
That dude on the right is crazy.
Well, that's Keone. Yeah, we know. And Chris, let's talk about Keone for a minute. I mean, if you have to rate him on a 1 to 10 scale for Keone, not for against anyone else, because he was good enough, obviously, here to win. Where do you see it?
Well, you only can compare him to last year, which is the last time we saw him, and this is a better version of him because he's bigger.
Right. What about conditioning wise?
Same as last year.
When I look at Keone's face, and I'm a huge fan of Keone's physique, by the way. I just wanted to say that right off the bat. When I look at his face, I see a face that isn't, he doesn't have that skull sucked out death face. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
John, you know what I'm talking about.
I absolutely know what you're talking. Some guys just don't get it. Remember Paul Dillette would never get it?
He got it. He had a very leaned out face. He had the
but he would never have that skull face that you're talking about.
I think that Keone can go a step beyond what he is here.
I agree. He looks kind of like he's got a little film covering him.
And that just tells you how good he is.
Yeah.
Structurally speaking.
Yeah, he's winning the show, and he's got a remarkable physique, and he's gonna have to weather the social media trolls that say that he's like miles off, where he's not miles off.
No, he's not miles off. No
He's right there.
way. 5% off.
Dave, part of this is also, he's got a, for him, the size came before the maturity. Some people the maturity comes and then they add size. He's just got young muscle. And, for some young people, young muscle looks like fresh and defined. And for other people, it looks like it's not super conditioned. So that's where he is right now in his career. And I think people are being a little bit overly critical. That shot looks phenomenal. Front lat spread, front double. He's improving. It's one of those things that people want to see, like Andreas Munzer condition, or they want to see, Phil Roden condition, or they want to see, you know what I mean? They want to see like true outrageous conditioning on him. And I think we may have to wait until his body matures a little bit more.
Yeah. The risk is, and I think this is what you're trying to say, Chris, is if you try to suck him and bring him down too low to get him into quote shape, he might just look worse.
He'll probably lose that front double bicep he almost lost. Look, the best comparison is the guy he's standing next to, who arguably could have won as well. And
yeah, that's what I'm going to bring up. I'm on.
So, people would talk about him winning. So had he tried to pull it down a little bit deeper and get leaner, he probably would have been underwhelming versus Ahmed on certain shots, because Ahmed is, got more, I think, more density, more maturity, more size, really. And his shape is great. It's just that Keone has like wacky shape. So, a smaller version and just a little bit better condition of Keone versus Ahmed, they might not even be effective. He could land in second.
Yeah, I thought Ahmed looked really good, but I thought he could have been a little tighter as well.
Yeah, he could have been a little tighter. Yeah, nitpicking. He looked good, though. He looked very good. Best he's ever looked,
He's got nice flow to his physique.
Very nice.
That's really what gets your eye. Good polish, too, Polish doesn't hurt when you're on stage, to have nice tan, good presentation, everything that goes along with that. Because, it's impressive to the judges, just especially when you're sitting in that first row there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just imagine if he turned his head to the side.
I'm looking for one person that's going to do that, John.
No one will do it. They will not do it anymore. I don't know why. Somebody told them not to do it. Chris, did you do that?
No, it just
that was a Grushkin. Of course you did it. You had to have done it.
I think Phil. Phil don't turn his head, right?
I don't know, but look at his traps in that picture. They're amazing. If he would turn his head to
one, I'm turning now. I don't know if your traps. Yeah, I guess they flex when you.
I think we got to dig up an old school picture with somebody with their head turned.
Ronnie told it
over the shoulder because he wanted to get the crowd pumped up.
Right. Yeah. We look over his shoulder.
Ronnie used to turn his head. I'm pretty sure.
Ronnie used to bobble his head.
Everybody. It was standard. Everybody did it. Now, all of a sudden, nobody does it. I want to know what happened.
I don't know. Let's talk about third place Kerrith Bajjo, who, I work with him, and this guy's been made monumental improvements year after year. He turned pro as a Masters. We won Masters.
Did he really?
Yeah. We won a Masters show together. And I said, man, you're going to be a good pro. I said, you got what it takes. And
his legs are great.
Yeah, I thought he could have, possibly been in second place here. I think Keone was pretty much the pick for the win. But, Kerrith brought in tremendous conditioning, a lot of muscle mass on his body. I know the guys, remember, because of COVID, and then there's so many delays. And this guy's been dieting for a very long time, too. So as most of the competitors have, because you never know when you're going to compete, with this crazy, with the craziness of this world that we're living in now. I feel bad for have you seen what's going on in Australia, John?
Yeah. I was talking to Lee the other day.
terrible, man.
Freaking nuts. I think it was one 80-year-old person got it, and they closed the whole country down.
Everything is closed down.
I know.
You can't even leave your house.
Yep, except to go to the grocery store for 1 hour.
Yeah, which is the place where everyone's gonna get the COVID, which is ironic, right?
Yeah.
Why the grocery store? I guess COVID doesn't go into the grocery store. Is that
Well,
it?
I mean, is somebody going to standardize like how to deal with this thing? It's like
They standardize it, John. You have to get a vaccine, and then you get George Soros. You get the wood chip in your neck. It will track you forever. I mean, you got to play both sides, right? That's what people care. I know someone, John, with COVID right now, and they just got it really bad. And I said, "You didn't get a vaccine, so I don't trust the government." In the hospital, Dave knows.
Yeah, I know people that have
I'm
had.
thinking, like, are you gonna trust the doctors in the hospital?
well, the thing is, if there wasn't so many, clouds over it, it would be a different story.
Well, there's clouds on everything right now, John. There's clouds on the financial
That's true. That's
clouds
true.
on the political
That's true.
system. There's clouds.
There is my
know.
only problem with the vaccine is that people are getting the vaccine and getting COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
they're dying. 45,000 people died from it.
No, forget the vaccine. What it caused. I'm just saying people are getting the vaccine and then getting COVID.
Yeah,
so it's not
a plane load
100%
of Texas.
okay, we
Congress
know that you run out and get another COVID booster if one's available.
Well, Lee Priest has had 3 shots already. He holds the record right now for the most COVID shots.
Has he got COVID?
No, he hasn't.
Not yet.
I don't trust the government, but I trust my trend dealer making trend toilet.
They do a way better job, the trend dealer.
Yeah, that's not a fair comparison
I
because
know it's not.
people have been taking trend for 75 years. There's there's never been an mRNA vaccine that's worked. So I mean, there's conjecture there that you can play on both sides easily. But I think that argument people are making, well, you'll put all that Chinese steroids in your system and you won't complain. But
Well, I think it's
not a
Jeff
fair argument. It goes
Bezos trying to
steroids.
close down. I think it's Jeff Bezos conspiring to shut down the retail so that he can,
Amazon
garner
can
all the.
He can deliver everything.
and then
So he can fly to Mars. He can
Right,
So
so
he
you
can fly out to Mars, and and then he can sell people single-family homes out in Mars while everyone dies of COVID on the Earth.
Hey, John, what do you think Jimmy the Bull's explanation is for Jeff Bezos and Branson going into space? Where does he think they really went? Since he thinks we live on a flat Earth, with no space.
Yeah, there's so many clouds over, like, circular. Is the Earth really sphere or is it flat? There's so many clouds. There's clouds over everything.
After Galileo, I never really thought they were going to go back to like people thinking that we live on a flat, Earth. I mean,
the question I always ask
in the history of humanity, I don't think we've ever regressed scientifically as much as we have now.
As bad as this, never. I think, but the thing is, we're all of this shit that you hear from veganism to the flat Earths to the vaccine, all of this shit would never have ever come up if it wasn't for social media.
You're right.
You're right. 100%. Yeah.
No one would have heard of
the clouds, John. The clouds from social media.
The clouds come from the cloud.
That's right. That's exactly right. No pun intended, of course.
Yeah. No one would know a vegan if it wasn't for social media.
No. There probably wouldn't be any vegans.
No. There wouldn't even be wellness if there wasn't social media.
Sure.
You didn't have Instagram. How would you know what anybody's ass looked like?
Chris, let me quiz you here. Let's see if you know.
He'll win.
No, it's not really a quiz, but it's just who does this look like? First of all, this is the winner, Darwin Uribe of the Classic and Physique division. But what bodybuilder does this guy look like here? I got 2 in mind. See if you can read my mind.
Frank Zane.
Yeah, he does. I wasn't going to say Frank Zane, but he's got a Frank Zane looking physique. I don't know.
Harris.
I was going to say Muhammad Makawe, the way he was standing there.
Yeah. No, he won on that stance.
Yep.
I'm serious. The guy that second could have won. I coached the guy who got second.
Oh, you did? I didn't even know that.
And when I come down to when I saw this guy's stance,
Great stance, right?
Right here looks like something straight out of the 70s.
Yeah, it does. Right out of time.
Yeah, that's what I thought of right away. I thought of.
And he had great condition, so
Danny Padilla too. He looked like a little bit.
It automatically puts him first second.
I think
we're going to talk about the women at all.
Do you want me to?
The girl who won Physique.
Hold on, let me pull up Chris's guy, Mohammed.
Yeah, I would definitely do that first. But you can't omit this girl. She's a freaking freak.
Yeah, we don't want to miss any freaks. That's for sure on this show.
We can't. This
God
girl
forbid.
is beyond.
How did you meet this guy, Chris?
Kamal.
Oh, okay. That's Mohammed Fak. How do you pronounce his last name?
Fak.
Oh boy, can you imagine what this? If he ever went to a U.S. school, they would have tortured this guy.
I wouldn't call him a fat fuck. He looks pretty good. Chris, you're hard on your guys, man. Jeez. Demoralizing. Your coach calls you a fat fuck? Jeez.
Unbelievable. We should be laughing. We should only have a physique as nice as this.
No, exactly right.
Chris, where is he from? From
Tunisia.
Tunisia?
Lives in Tunisia, yeah.
Wow. I love that international.
I like the international element. There you go.
I do, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. It makes it so much. I love it.
Hold on.
Yeah. Where did he turn pro, Chris? Do you even know?
I forget. Yeah, Tunisia. Hello. This is me having to.
Oh. No, I didn't know if he did like an international. I didn't know if he did an international competition or anything like that. You know, I didn't know. I never heard of him. You know.
Okay. We're there. Just we're there. Just we'll meet him out front.
Hillary Clinton calling Chris Aceto.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Let me know that he could get in touch with you.
Bye.
He'll be trying to call you again.
Bye-bye. I got a cabinet delivery date coming. That's what that is.
What's coming?
Cabinets for a remodel.
Okay, good.
Now, Cindy Reyes won the women's physique. We'll pull her picture up. I don't know if that's the one you were talking about, John, or not.
The one that just beat Shanique Grant to the ground. That one.
Oh.
I don't know who that is. Hold on.
I'll show you. I got a picture on my phone. Valerie sent me her picture.
I don't think you're not talking about the girl who won this show, though. It can't be. Unless you're talking about the figure girl. This is the fitness.
No, not
women's
her.
physique girl. Cindy Reyes.
Women's physique.
That's women's physique.
That's women's physique?
That's women's physique.
Wait a minute.
I think you're talking about the bodybuilding. I'm going to pull the bodybuilding girl up. That's who you're talking about. Well, congratulations. I don't want to dismiss her.
Yeah. Congratulations
to her, to Cindy, on the women's physique victory. Sheena Oleg that's who you're talking about. I know you are. She could actually do physiques, this girl, but she did bodybuilding, and she's yeah. I think she's awesome.
An amazing genetic structure.
I would do women's physique if I were her. I think she's. Here's
some information.
Shut
great.
Up. No, not her.
No,
this girl.
I don't know who you show me. I can't. You think I can see? I don't know. I'm looking at someone else. Let me see, John.
Can't see that?
Oh, I don't know. That's the figure winner, I think. Let me see.
Look at that. She's got the most incredible genetics ever.
Well, let's go back to the women's bodybuilding. Sheena Oleg. I like her physique a lot.
I do too.
But I think she could do women's physique. I don't even think she's that big.
She's not.
It's funny how a lot of these women's physique girls or women's physique like bodies are doing bodybuilding and doing well in it. And I think it's a good move because there's not a lot of competition in women's bodybuilding right now.
Yes.
So you could, it's kind of like wide open, really, if you think about it.
That's too bad. There's so many divisions. That's why it's just all over.
Well, it's for women. You got a lot of choices, and it's pretty easy to cross over. It seems like that for a woman too. Because I don't think there's a lot of distinction. Do you?
I just like when you get these crazy genetic freaks, and then they go the extra mile, and then create a competitive physique out of that. It's like a Shanique Grant, with that teeny tiny waist and the giant back and leg flare out. I mean, I just love the way that looks.
Look at Julia Waring, who won the figure division here in Chicago. I mean, look at that physique.
Yeah.
I mean, that could do women's physique if she wanted to, right? Look at the legs.
She could.
I bet you Chris could make her Miss Olympia.
That for figure, that's just
still working on Hassan's glutes and hams, but go ahead.
Say that again?
I'm still working on Hassan's glutes and hams.
I bet you she's got better glutes and hams than Hassan does.
He'll be a while.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. When he gets glutes and hams, I think he's going to give Ramy a run for his money.
I believe so.
All right. We don't want to leave out wellness, right?
Hell no.
I think I really don't think wellness is really a necessary class, but I do like it. I will tell you that.
Who would
I love the
like wellness?
I love the physiques. Cassandra Gillis wins that. I'm going to show you. She might have my favorite physique in the whole show, actually. To be honest with you. Let's pull this up. Hold on. Look at that.
Yeah.
Is that even real?
I'm just going to say that.
I was going to ask you, John. You're the expert.
It doesn't look real to me.
You're the expert, John, on all this stuff, all these procedures.
I'd like to see another shot, but
I'll show you a back shot. I'm going to give you a back shot.
That does not look real.
Let's give
First thing that came to my mind, John. Could be though.
It was pointy.
Well, the boobs are definitely not real, but that I don't know about the butt.
I mean, we've graduated way past that.
What's that, John?
Yeah, could be real. That looks
I
real.
think it is.
That could be real. She's got a very low.
Hey, what's Amanda say?
I don't even ask her.
See, the thing is, her legs are really small and her butt's really huge. So and she's got very low glute tie-in.
Yeah.
I need another shot.
Another one? All right.
I haven't seen a good enough shot.
More
from the side.
I got a good shot for you.
You can tell from the side.
All right, hold on. John's going to make his final decision right here.
Fake.
Real.
You think it's fake?
Fake.
I don't know.
But not fake like implanted. Fake like Brazilian butt lift fake.
Now, what is the Brazilian butt lift?
What is that, John?
Brazilian butt lift is when they make the girl gain weight and then they suck the fat out and inject and spin it down, and then they inject her own fat into the muscle, and they make it like marbled. So it's
Dave?
See what you learn, Chris, every day?
I know it, huh?
Yep. That's what Kim Kardashian does all the time. That's what you see her going up and down in weight all the time.
Yeah, but her Kim's ass just looks fat. This girl actually has like a nice butt.
Kim's ass is fat because it's full of fat. I mean,
but it's not. There's no muscle to inject the fat.
Well, because she's got right, exactly. So she's injecting fat into fat. But I mean, this girl here has muscle and fascia, and it makes like a bag. It contains it, but that is not a real glute.
Are you saying that that's like a Valentino arm?
No. That's completely different. This is her own tissue, her own fat.
Oh, yeah. I see.
Yeah. Which her body will ultimately consume, and she's got to do it again.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, but I mean, her tits and her ass are completely fake, which is fine. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's just,
I like the second place girl, Bruna Serendich. I'm going to pull her pictures up here, just since we're schmoing out a little bit on the.
We're not schmoing out. We're determining what glutes are real.
What about this girl's glutes?
Can't tell from that shot.
That's a lot of muscle, though. She's got. You look at those calves.
Yes. See how much bigger. See how big her legs are. How much muscle's in her legs.
Yeah. See, I like that. I like a very muscular look like that. In the legs.
So what happens is they get this big fake dumper and they park it on top of two toothpicks. So it looks.
Who can do better analysis, Chris, than John about wellness? I'm loving it. I got to pull another
go-to guy.
Yeah.
I need another shot to determine that, but that looks real.
I'm gonna give you a third place. Renee Jewett. Hold on. All right, hold on. I'm gonna pull her picture. I'm trying to look for a good picture here. I got to give John the right perspective, otherwise he can't determine, the legitimacy of the glutes. Here we go. This is Renee Jewett, third place.
Are these girls American?
I don't know. I think Renee Jewett is. She's not married to John Jewett, is she?
That's real. She's got a real butt.
Yeah. And she's got hamstrings too.
Yes, look at all. It's a dead giveaway when they have muscular legs and a big ass. That makes sense. When they got a big ass and no legs, well, there you go. You can't. How can you possibly train your glutes and completely omit your hamstrings and your quads?
It does seem pretty difficult to do, I guess.
I mean, you don't work at doing that. I mean, really.
It's funny.
You can do hip thrusters. What else?
Hip thrusters. Oh my God. All right. Well, I think that the Chicago Pro was definitely a success, and we got to obviously take our hat off to Tim Gardner and all the people that made that possible. It was also held in the same weekend as the Masters Nationals. So, I mean, that was a huge weekend. I mean, we could spend the whole show just going over Masters Nationals. I mean, it was so big. And they gave out 9,000 pro cards there, as they always do, which is great, because I love to see the old guys get pro cards. Maybe because I'm getting old myself.
You and I disagree on that point. They give out way too many pro cards.
Yeah, but I don't care, because if you give it to an older competitor, I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that the young people pro cards that are giving them out too much. They should probably have different. Don't you think they should have different degrees of like pro card? I remember when I was a kid, and we would go to the pool, and they would have like they had the kids pool pass, they had the adult pool pass, and then they had the senior pool pass.
Oh, the ribbon used to tie on the string.
And you had different access points to the public pool park I went to, according to what you are. So in other words, why not have a Masters Pro card, have an Open Pro card? You know what I mean? This way you can differentiate between at what level you achieved it at. I mean,
why not just put pro cards in boxes?
Pro implies like next level physique.
Right.
And it used to be that to get a pro card was remarkably hard and probably unfair in the early years, because what happened was there were a tremendous amount of bodybuilders who quit, who were second, third, fourth, or whatever. So, it does imply like, next level physique and, something that's remarkable. And, it is possible for you to be able to get a pro card and have a richer looking physique. Depends on which show you got that pro card in.
True.
We want to see at any level, you go to a figure show. You don't want to see when it's the Olympia figure or just a women's figure pro show. You still want to be bewildered, and at the Olympia level, you are bewildered. Even if you're not a fan, you say, that's incredible, let alone 212 and open.
Well, when it comes to women, though, when you're at a pool bar and the beer tub girl is an IFBB pro, it kind of diminishes the prestige of the pro card.
I just think that there should be a Masters Pro card versus an Open Pro card. I think that would solve a lot of problems.
Or a beer tub girl pro card versus.
Well, bikini pro card is a bikini pro card. You know what I mean? It's like it is what it is. It's for the division it's in. But if you're a bodybuilding pro, and you won it at the USA Championships, the North Americans or the Nationals, I would think that should have an added distinction, don't you think?
Then the beer tub girl's going to get upset.
She's going to still have her pro card. I'm just saying, if you win it at Masters, though, don't you think there should be have?
So you mean like a gold pro card and a regular pro card?
Yeah,
like a credit card. You get a regular credit card, then you get the gold card, and then you get the platinum card.
That's right.
So the real old Masters, the platinum, and then you got regular Masters, the gold, and then the beer tub girl is regular. All right,
exactly. Can that work, John?
I think I can live with that. As long as you don't give any wellness girls pro cards, then we're okay.
I mean, but that's a class. In the wellness class, that you should be able to give the wellness pro card. I mean, you should be able to give a pro card to them. But I'm saying, if you see a male bodybuilder, and they should have it should be a distinguishment that you won it at the USA Nationals or North American, or the Arnold Amateur or one of the other Olympia Amateur shows, because that's going to give you a distinction. Hey, I beat an open class that was available to everyone. If you win it at Masters, not taking away anything, that it's still a great achievement, but you're limited. There's no young guys in the show. You're winning it against a limited audience, a limited competitor.
Well, Dave, to wrap, you know what? If you want to wrap up the show, comes back to Brett Wilkin. I don't know how I thought of this. Is it Wilkin, right?
Yeah.
He got a pro card somehow, right, in Classic.
That's fine. He worked his way up. That's
I know. It's unbelievable. He worked his way up and beating everyone except one person in a pro show and an open, not a 212. But at the end of the day, with him, we want to see freaky muscle at a pro bodybuilding show, and that's what we got. We don't want to see what happened to Brett Wilkin. Well, he got his pro card in the Classic, and he's doing open bodybuilding now because he weighs enough to do it. What place he got? 48th. Last call out. 5th time in a row that he got the last call out.
Right. I know what you're saying.
He's completely right. That's exactly right. It kind of skews things,
The bottom line is, I think, as far as our industry is concerned, as long as the sport is growing and is prospering, and we're seeing better talent, not worse talent, I think they're doing it right. Yeah. And I think that's what we're seeing. We are seeing emerging new talent. We're seeing guys that are moving through divisions, which now gives people a chance to go from men's physique to Classic to 212 to open. And we're seeing better levels of talent, and not only in the men's divisions, in the women's divisions as well. So the sport is healthy. Obviously, we have new blood being infused into it, and I think that was a concern for a while, that maybe people weren't going to do it. And that at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We have new guys entering into the Olympia Open lineup this year that could crack the top 5 or 6 that are, that were guys that were never up there before. So we have the infusion of new talent. How we validate our pros in terms of status goes, I don't know, maybe that is just an ego thing for all of us, that, hey, you know what, we came up in the 90s, it was hard to get a pro card, now we think it's too easy, but who cares? At the end of the day, the talent is there, and we're seeing good shows put on, and we're seeing great new bodybuilders emerge, then it's all right. That's the way I see it.
And I guess that can bode well too for strippers who can say they are an IFBB pro. That adds some legitimacy to their life.
Kim Kardashian went to law school, right? Isn't she a lawyer now? Was she close to it?
That's a new one on me.
Be a lawyer. She's in law school.
All I know is Kim Kardashian has the distinction of having been on the cover of a fitness magazine wearing a full dress.
That's true. Blackman made that happen. Made it all possible. He made her dreams. He put her on the cover. I'll make you a star.
He made her a star.
Right. And after all, that's all it's about, right? Being a star. Yep. And you guys can be your own star too. All right, let's wrap this up, guys. As we say every week, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Oh, it does so much. It always hurts. And we will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us live.